Thank you for staying tuned. Now, there is need to remove disparity in petroleum product prices across the country, as well as a genuine desire to improve the economic well-being of all citizens contributed to government's introduction of a uniform pricing of all petroleum products nationwide in 1973. All that time, petrol price was as low as 11 kobo per litre until 1985, when it gradually rose to 29 kobo per litre. Upward pricing of petroleum products has been contentious in Nigeria. Policymakers use it as a way of raising revenue for government, meeting the need to repair and rehabilitate products refining and distribution infrastructure, and reducing the subsidy. Well, to talk more around the pricing of PMS and issues that have been happening lately in the downstream, I'm being joined by a former president of the Trade Union Congress. He's also a former president of Pengasan, Mr. Peter Isele. Mr. Isele, good afternoon. It's good to have you on the show.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I think I'd like to start this way. After deregulation, what we heard was that marketers will begin to bring in products, and we'll start to see high competition in the market, and we'll see difference in price. But I don't think that is happening at the moment, because even the marketers are not so interested in importing. What are the challenges? What challenges do you see?
One of the challenges the marketers are facing is that they can't source FX. So if they can't source FX through the in window, and they may have to go to the parallel market. And if you ask them to source that at the parallel market at 1,000 naira, averagely in the last 1 week has been 1,000 naira to the dollar. So if they have to import on that basis, we are not going to be paying what we are paying at the moment. So what we have now is that NNPC is now the only importer of this product. So we've gone back to where we were before, which invariably means that deregulation, as they say, deregulation is actually not what is being practiced. So normally deregulation leads to liberalization, which means everybody can bring in products. But if you cannot have a willing buyer and a willing seller in the FX market, so that is a major challenge facing the marketers now. They can't get in any product. So what they have to do is to wait for NNPC. Whenever NNPC brings in product, then they get part of it.
Do you think that market forces, demand and supply, can really help address this challenge in this market? Because many say there's a lot to do in the regulation, that a face of it is just subsidy removal.
Yes, that's why I use the word liberalization. What we have right now, is not just is government raising some revenue. If you really say the regulation, no, we are not there. What we have now is still based on what we've always had, which is government increases price a bit and then go ahead. Because right now, if we are to go by the current price, international price of crude, the landing cost should be between 700 naira. So if you are landing at about 700 or 710, and then you expect somebody to sell less than that, I think that would be a colossal loss. So in my own estimation, subsidy is in already. I think I'm also happy when the sitting president of Pengasan also alluded to that. And when somebody asks me, why will I say there's subsidy? I say it's a common sense theory. If I'm paying 600 naira for a liter of petrol, and the going rate at the time that price was fixed was about $70, $75 to a barrel of crude, and now it's almost $90 to a barrel of crude, and I'm still paying the same amount. Somebody somewhere somehow is paying the difference, and that is government. But it will take a while. Sometime in the near future, we will know about this. But then I don't also blame the government, because I always say government is made for the people and not the people for government. So first thing is that social stability must be paramount in whatever policy decisions that is being made.
Interestingly, let me take you a bit let's go back to talk around the plant strike. We see that at the end of the day, Labour was able to agree with government. I still like your reaction to that, because many would say strike shouldn't be the way out. We should always be ready to dialogue, sit around the table, talk around the issues and implement them. So what do you think about that move by NLC and TUC?
But I think that's what Labour is doing. Labour is being very responsible and also being very responsive to the challenges around the economy, and also to the effect of a strike on the average Nigerian. And that is why you see Labour keep pushing the strike forward. Once it was 21 days, now we have 30 days. And so, and then that gives room for them to judge up. And at the end of the day, we always learn that, and we've always been told that strike itself is what we call the nuclear option. Nuclear option in the sense that, okay, mutually assured destruction. So strike, I also know that labor leaders don't also envy, and they are not that happy with going on strike. But when they are left with no other options, then strike becomes the last resort. And I think that is what TUC and the Nigerian and NSC are doing at the moment. And hopefully government will also live up to its expectation and keep to its promises that have been made.
Part of their argument is for the refineries to become functional. I am also interested in that. We expect the Port Harcourt refinery to come on stream, if possible, by the end of the year. What we've heard, we are waiting. And also the Dangote refinery. Much talk about Dangote refinery. What is your reaction to refining and where we find ourselves at the moment?
Yes, I think that is also part of it. And the president said hopefully the refinery will come on stream in December. And then the Dangote refinery, that's a private refinery. I don't want to talk about it anymore. My assessment at the opening was that we are going to see a liter of petrol from that refinery by July. It didn't happen in July. It didn't happen in August. It didn't happen in September. Now we're in October. So what I've decided is I'm not going to make comment about it until I see a liter of petrol coming out of that refinery. And for the NNPC refinery, is my hope that it comes up in December. If it doesn't, and then that will also now make Nigerians to start questioning whatever postulation that comes out of the NNPC. And the GCEO of NNPC also made reference that by 2024, we are looking at on or before the end of 2024, that Nigeria will be a net exporter of refined product. So if that happens, that will be a huge relief, because not just it saves the country a lot of FX. On the other hand, it will also create an employment. But let me correct one thing here, that even if we are refining locally, please let me not, so that the viewers and those who are watching this program don't have this belief that once we start refining locally, it's possible that we start buying petrol at 300 naira. That is not going to happen, because each of those crude oil, whether it's Dangote, whether it's NNPC, they are going to buy it in US dollars. And when you buy anything in US dollars and you sell in naira, the prices are naturally going to go up. But the difference here will be maybe 5 naira, between 5 to 7 naira max will be off the pump price of petroleum product, but not that you will expect that you get a 50% reduction. I just wanted to clarify that.
No, that's really good. Mr. Sele, let me put you on the spot and ask that. Would you also, what do you think about subsidy resurfacing, looking at the dollar, crude oil price, and all of that? And we are still buying it at like 560 naira in some cases, 559 in some cases.
I think you and I have had this conversation both formally and informally, where I said the government is facing this challenge, not just a fallout from the Tinubu administration's policy. It's a lack of forward looking, especially from the last administration. With all due respect, I think the Buhari administration did this country a lot of damage. And why I'm using that, the damage is that for 8 years, not a single refinery worked. For 8 years, not a new refinery was built. So what you have right now is that what the last administration failed to do, the Tinubu administration now had to grapple with it. And how are they grappling with it? My own expectation is that by now, I expected even if they were afraid of losing the election. So if you don't carry out a policy because you don't want to lose the election, and then the result were announced in February, so you know you've already won. And what I expected the outgone administration to have done would have been instantly start putting in place transportation, acquiring buses, mass movement. And those buses that you are going to acquire, you start putting in place various measures. You could have done that even in 5-6 years. Put in place the various measures, because you know you are going to take away subsidy. We all know subsidy is going to go. And now that subsidy is gone, you no longer have, there is no buffer. Formerly, from previous administration, you have various buffers that are put in place. But here, there is no buffer. The only aspect that I'm also looking forward to is that the Minister of Humanitarian Service, I think Mrs. Betty Edu, made reference to the fact that she's also going to have to look at the data. I've always complained about that data. I have vulnerable people in my village, the elderly, both male and female. They never got a dime from the last minister's data, and I'm wondering whether they're not Nigerians. So I'm looking forward to them also looking at this data. But right now, subsidy has gone, but subsidy is back. Why? Because the structure to make life easier for Nigerians have not been put in place.
Before I let you go, now, what's the outlook for you with regards to PIA's implementation and, of course, the challenges in the downstream?
Well, the challenges in the downstream are enormous. First, what one will expect is, if you look at the FX stability. I just also watch one of my favorite economists, Mr. Ayo Teriba. I watched his interview with you earlier. So once we are able to, first of all, you stabilize your FX market. What that means is that businesses can plan. You can wake up in the morning and you are planning on 700 naira to the dollar. And by the close of the day or 2 days later, it's 900. So what you have now is that you can't plan in an environment like that. Secondly, is that the PIA, we have to look at areas where we create environment for investors to come in. People are talking about FDIs. You're not going to get FDIs if you don't also create ease of doing business for your local businesses. Nobody develops your economy for you. Economy must start from where you are. And then when it becomes attractive, then you don't even need to beg anybody to come and invest in your economy. I wonder how many countries American presidents go to invite people to come and invest in the US economy. No, everybody knows that the US economy is the strongest. The US economy has a regulatory system, and the US economy also has its laws, and its laws there are respected. So the US economy has become a safe haven. So what I expect President Tinubu's administration to do is to create a safe haven, make it easy to do business in Nigeria. Those ease of doing business report that I've been hearing in the past administration, my brother, is not correct. Doing business in Nigeria is tough. And everybody running business, good business, genuine, legal business in Nigeria actually deserve a garland.
Very tough. I must thank you so much, Mr. Peter Esele there, former President Pengasan, of course also Trade Union Congress. Thank you so much and have a great weekend. We appreciate your contributions.
Thank you for having me.